Coming up on the February 18th edition of Sports Extra, the Tar Heels took on an in-state rival Saturday, but that rival didn't want to wake up.
Get out your Swippers because baseball started the season with a sweep.
A lot of people don't consider video games to be a sport, but this isn't just for computer nerds.
All that and so much more, Sports Extra starts
right now.
From the University of North Carolina School of Media and Journalism, covering the full range of Tar Heel athletics, this is Sports Extra.
Good afternoon and welcome to the February 18th edition of Sports Extra. I'm Julie Kuhn. Bounce back games in the book.
Round one of the greatest rivalry in college sports still ahead. I'm Elena Pirtle. Thanks for joining us. The bounce back game was against Wake Forest on Saturday at noon, and the Heels had major bounce. To quote Michael Jordan, who had a birthday yesterday, the ceiling is the roof. UNC basketball avoided a potential trap game against Wake Forest by landing a knockout punch early in the game. Kenny Williams' excellent interception here helped the Heels to an 18-0 lead. UNC outshot Wake Forest by 30% and hit 60% of its three-pointers. Carolina gets back on the fast break after a block by Andrew Playtech, and with some nifty passing, Luke May gets an easy bucket. Cam Johnson dominated the game with 27 points, 7 three-pointers, and a streaking dunk off a pass from Garrison Brooks. Carolina gets the bounce-back win against the Demon Deacons 95-57. Next up, the Heels travel to Durham to face Duke on Wednesday night.
I think we got off to a big lead. What was it, like 18-0, 23, and then like 27-5, I think it was. I think at that point, energy was up and that bad taste was gone.
Johnson had himself a day against Wake. The grad transfer went 10 out of 13 from the field, including a scorching 7 of 10 from the three-point line. Yes, 70% from downtown. Johnson is shooting a career-high 47.9% from three this season. He's ranked second in the ACC in three-point percentage. Johnson and the Heels definitely showed no mercy on the Demon Deacons Saturday, and we have basketball analyst Mallory Marks live in studio to break it down just a little bit more. Mallory?
Thanks, Elena. UNC was absolutely stellar on Saturday. The 38-point win over Wake is the biggest margin win in program history, so obviously they're doing some really great things. Carolina shot 74% in the first half and finished out shooting 62.3% overall and 64% from three. Cameron Johnson tacked on 27 points for the Heels and made his first 8 shots of the game, with 6 of those coming from behind the arc. The Heels are proving themselves to be a great three-point shooting team. Luke May also got his 800th career rebound in this game, and this is big because you know how key I think rebounding is to a Tar Heels win. The Heels out-rebounded the Demon Deacons by 3. No coincidence between that and the way Carolina absolutely crushed Wake. Now, I went easy on the Heels for now. They played fantastic in Winston-Salem, so I'll let them enjoy that for the time being. But even with their great performance, there's always things that can be improved. And with Duke coming up this week, Carolina needs to be pretty close to flawless. So I'll see you guys again in a little bit to break down what they didn't do so well on and how they can change it for anticipation for one of the greatest rivalries in sports.
And we'll talk more about the greatest rivalry later on in the show. Thanks, Mallory.
The women's basketball team was trying to get off the skids when the Heels battled Virginia on Sunday. Virginia came to play and scored the final 8 points before the half to make it 36-32. Erica Martinson had 4 three-pointers off the bench, but the Tar Heels were too strong down low, scoring 30 of their 70 points in the paint, led by sophomore Janelle Bailey and junior Shayla Bennett, shooting 14 points and 10 points respectively. Each a rebound short of a double-double. Senior Paris Key scored a team-high 16 points, and junior Taylor Conan had a strong performance, balancing 14 points and a team-high 11 rebounds. The Tar Heels deliver a decisive 70-53 victory for the '94 national champs, who were recognized during Sunday's game.
Togetherness here since they got here. I mean, they don't see each other that much, but when they're together, I mean, they have a great time. But I think they feel like they can conquer anything, and they have no fears, and they just love each other to death.
It's pretty simple. When Paris Key has a good game, the Heels have a much better chance of winning. She wants to help the Heels succeed, but that's not the only goal she has in mind. Destiny Walker reports.
Team leader Paris Key has been listed on the WNBA mock draft since the beginning of the season. It was great to see my name on the draft board because I've spent so many years and so many hours, so much time on the court working on my game, trying to get better as a person, as a player, as a leader.
Assistant coach on the women's basketball team and former UNC and WNBA player, Coach Sylvia Crawley, isn't surprised that Key's name has been mentioned in the first and second rounds of the draft boards.
It makes me incredibly proud to see that Paris has an opportunity to be drafted. When our team wins and the further we go, the better it's going to be for Paris. So I'm excited about not just Paris, but how our entire team is playing.
Crawley says that Key's leadership, along with her versatility on the floor, makes her a perfect fit for many WNBA teams.
She's just a player where she could really play 1 through 4. You could put her anywhere. She's a winner. She doesn't care. She just wants to be on the floor and play.
Key says that she is grateful to be listed on the draft boards, but her focus is solely on her teammates and helping her team perform the rest of the season in hopes of making the NCAA tournament in March.
The focus now is just to keep our confidence up and basically to win the rest of these games because we know what we're capable of doing. We know that we can. I mean, we beat Notre Dame, we beat NC State, and we just kind of have to keep that momentum going.
And she could ride that momentum right into the WNBA. In Chapel Hill, I'm Destiny Walker reporting.
One mock draft projection has Key going to Atlanta in the second round of the WNBA draft.
The second-ranked women's lacrosse team had to do double duty this weekend, starting with a match on Friday against High Point. The Heels executed well. In the first half, it was number 3 Jamie Ortega who scored early and often. Ortega led the team with a career-high 6 goals and 2 assists. As the game pushed into the second half, HPU just couldn't find its rhythm. The Heels took advantage with this easy score, and let's check that out again. Ortega has the ball, passes it to Katie Hogue. The defender falls down, providing Hogue a look and score. Heels win 13-9. And on Sunday, the Heels took on ECU, and the game was decided early on. The ECU defense paled in comparison to UNC's offense. Check out this highly contested goal by Olivia Ferrucci off the inbound pass. The Heels scored a record-high 21 goals in the matchup, the last coming from an aggressive Charlotte Allard. The Heels demolish ECU 21-3, improving to 3-0 on the season.
I think that myself and my teammates can always do better, and that today kind of like opened our eyes to say that any team can come to play and we kind of just have to work together, and I wouldn't have had those points without my teammates.
The men's team hosted Harvard on Saturday, trying to stay unbeaten. It was a rough match. Midfielder Justin Anderson was called for unnecessary roughness in the first couple of minutes. Tanner Cook speeds past the defense and scores. UNC is up 4-3. Jack Pizzula defended the goal aggressively. He had 8 saves. Cook pushes his way through the defense and fires a shot to score his 3rd goal. Carolina is ahead 12-10. The Heels maintained the lead during the entire game and beat Harvard 16-11. Carolina is now 3-0 and faces John Hopkins next Saturday at Kenan Stadium.
The lacrosse teams were swinging around big sticks this weekend, but they weren't swinging the biggest sticks.
Stay tuned to see just how well the baseball team started out their season.
There's a shelter pet who wants to meet you. Meet one today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org. Adopt.
In In Game 1 on Friday, the Diamond Heels started off the season right where they left off last year. The first hit of the season came from freshman Aaron Sabato, driving in Dylan Harris for the first run of the season. Just one batter later, Ike Freeman hits this boom shot for the first home run of the year. Xavier would make it close early with Natale Manastra hitting this hopper straight up the middle in the third to tie the game at 3, but it would be all Heels after that. Carolina explodes in the later innings and goes on to win 12-3. The Heels kept momentum going on day 2. Right off the bat, Aaron Sabatos gives the Heels their first home run. Having 2 men in the corner, Jackson Hesterly hits the ball right over the top of the first baseman's head down the line, giving the Heels time to score not once but twice, keeping the lead against Xavier. At the bottom of the 8th inning, preseason All-American Michael Bush hits a dinger to right field, plating 2 runs to give the Heels the 8-3 win on Saturday. The Heels continued the strong batting in the third game. They started the game off with this dinger by Dylan Harris in the leadoff spot. Xavier wouldn't make this game as easy as the others. They tied the game up on this sac fly. The Heels' hot bats continued on though, when Brandon Martirano smokes this 2-run bomb, giving the Heels a 4-run lead. The Heels soon take full control with some help from Xavier pitchers. Without a single hit, the Heels score 5 runs in the bottom of the 6th, including this one by Michael Bush. Carolina wins it 14-3.
So what do you think, Elena? Are the Heels going back to Omaha?
I think they absolutely have a shot. On opening weekend, they had 5 different players hit home runs. They've got some big bats. They've got some key returning players. I think they absolutely have a chance.
Yeah, I think so. I think this season's going to be really great for the Heels. Well, the softball team hosted the ACC Big Ten Challenge at Anderson Stadium, and right off the bat had to face a top 20 team. Midway through UNC softball's home opener, the game had the look of a home run derby, with Carolina's Abby Settlemeyer and Michigan's Lexi Blair both going yard in at the 4th and 5th innings, leaving the game tied at 3. The Heels blew the game wide open after Kirsten Leisha knocked the ball out of the park for a grand slam to close out the 5th. Brittany Pickett would hold off the Wolverines the rest of the way, and infielder Kiani Ramsey sealed the win with this diving grab. Carolina 8, Michigan 3. The Heels fell to Northwestern 9-3 in the second game of a doubleheader. On Saturday, it was Carolina and Northwestern again. UNC got the party started with a run in the 3rd inning for 2 runs in both the 4th and 6th innings. Senior Kiana Ramsey picked Northwestern apart for 3 hits, while freshman Hannah George led the way with 3 RBIs. On a night full of great performances by the Heels, none shone brighter than starting pitcher Brittany Pickett. Pickett cut through Northwestern batters like a lawnmower, finishing with 7 strikeouts in a shutout. After a 5-0 win, UNC head coach Donna J. Papa picked out the keys to success for Pickett's dominant performance.
I thought she just had great command of her pitches, great command on the mound. Her presence is huge. You know, she's a junior now. She's been out there for us and has great maturity and poise and has been in so many different situations.
In Game 4 of the challenge, the Tar Heels took on the Michigan Wolverines for the 2nd time. In the top of the 3rd, Kiani Ramsey hit a single, allowing Leah Murray to advance to 2nd. Destiny DeBray to 3rd, and Christina Burkhart comes in to score. In the top of the 7th inning, Hannah George hit a sac fly, allowing Kiani Ramsey to score. Both Hannah George and Brittany Pickett pitched well, leading the Tar Heels to a 4-2 victory in their 3rd win against a ranked opponent. The Heels are 5-3 on the season. One big factor for the Heels has been Brittany Pickett on the mound. When Pickett starts, the team is 4-0, and she has allowed only 3 runs. When Pickett doesn't start, the team is 1-3, giving up 35 runs in those 4 games. Pickett dominates on the mound, but the other pitchers will need to step it up when she isn't slated to pitch.
Bodies soared and the laws of physics were put to the test when the UNC gymnastics team made the 23-mile drive to Reynolds Coliseum to take on NC State. Carolina began the match on bars and put in a lackluster performance. The Heels responded in a huge way on the vault, winning the event with an impressive set of scores. At a school where the ceiling is the roof, UNC made some surprising mistakes on the floor to waste the chance to close the gap on State. Carolina dominated the beam behind a career day from senior Jamie DeChico, but it wouldn't be enough for the Heels in the end. UNC falls to NC State by a little more than 2 points.
The UNC men's tennis team's run at the ITA Indoor Championships ended in the semifinals. Wake Forest sent the Heels home 4-2. The Deacs are the top-ranked team in the country and the defending national champs. This was the third time in the past 4 years that the Tar Heels earned a semifinal spot at the ITA National Team Indoors. The Carolina wrestling team has been putting opponents on their backs this season, but Cornell was having no part of that. In the last home match of the season on Saturday, Austin O'Connor gave UNC a strong 5-0 lead from a technical fall at 149 pounds. Chip Ness was leading 2-0 before Cornell's Max Dean secured the takedown late in the second. Ness wasn't able to regain momentum and lost 5-2. Tied 4-4 with less than 20 seconds left, heavyweight Corey Daniel is taken down. Cornell wins 29-5.
We can watch lots of sports online, but Colleen Brown shows us a group of UNC students that competes online.
The Triangle Esports Championship organizers had a few big goals: to help raise money for charity and introduce esports to the local community. Championship director Jatovi McDuffie is interested in dispelling a myth.
The gaming community is left out in a lot of arenas. There's a stigma around them. Oh, they're just kids in the basement. It's untrue. So I figured, yeah, look, that'd be kind of cool to reach into that community and say, hey, you know, offer something to them, offer something to the kids or the parents.
Hundreds of competitors, many in elementary school, showed up to compete in the Fortnite and Rocket League tournaments. They even had play-by-play for the benefit of the crowd. The championship drew some big names, including UNC sophomore Matthew Ackerman. He plays Rocket League professionally and is so good, he's one of the top 100 players worldwide.
This game is like the best game I've ever played, so no, it's not tiring, ever. It's work. It's work I love, but it's work.
So it's clear I'm not really any good at these games. Thankfully, the competitors here are, and it pays to be good, literally. Oh, it pays to be good, literally. The Fortnite tournament has a prize pool of $1,000, while the Rocket League tournament, which is played in teams of 2, has a prize of $1,300 total. Being good can get you a big payday.
The point behind it is everybody can play. I can't go play in the NBA, but I can definitely sit here and play a video game with my buddy.
Not every player at the championship walked away with cash or prizes, but it's safe to say that many people, including myself, learned more about esports.
Esports will be on the schedule for the 2024 Paris Olympics. Talk about legitimizing the competition as a sport.
We hinted at it earlier, but even if we didn't say anything,
there's a basketball game this Wednesday. No biggie.
All right, crew, let's get started. Sure.
Don't ignore the law. You must call 811 at least 2 to 3 days before any digging project so you can avoid hitting our essential buried utilities. For digging projects big or small, make the call to 811.
What would happen if I had to pick up the phone, call 911 for one of my family members or one of my neighbors? What would I do if no one was on the other end? There was no 911. So you can be a part of the solution.
Anybody can be a firefighter. Male, female, younger, older.
We have school teachers. We have leaders in business.
Is me, you, anyone that wants to be. There is no typical firefighter.
What for you is a signature moment in the rivalry?
Women.
So we have the UNC Duke game coming up on Wednesday. Elena, have you ever rushed Franklin or won a Duke ticket?
I have been lucky enough to rush Franklin a couple times, jump my first bonfire. I've never won tickets through the lottery though. I've always had to get my tickets waiting out in the turn it back line out in the quad. Waited like 10 hours for a ticket 2 years in a row.
Well, I think things might be a little different over in Kville, and lucky for us, we have Natalie Bode live in Kville to give us a report about Duke fans getting ready for this game. Natalie?
Thanks, Julie. I'm here in Kville where it is surprisingly quiet. If you look around, there are no Duke students manning their tents, but there's certainly plenty of anti-UNC propaganda. Here we have the Hall of Lame, where we can see a nice picture of what's quoted as Puke May and Shame Johnson. And then maybe even worse, to my right, we have a UNC teddy bear hanging by its leg. And although we wish there was more action to show you guys, we do have even more tents spread that way, and we even had a hoodie under the trash can with UNC Tar Heels written on it. So let's hope UNC fans bring that same energy on Wednesday. That's all from Kville. Back to you guys.
That's Natalie Bode live in enemy territory. Thanks for taking one for the team and putting your life in danger, Natalie.
And now we welcome back basketball analyst Mallory Marks as we prep for the big game. Mallory, what are you expecting?
Well, Elena, I talked earlier about how great Carolina played against Wake on Saturday, but it still wasn't perfect. If Tar Heel fans want any chance at storming Franklin on Wednesday night, perfect is pretty much how Carolina has to play. Hanging onto the ball has been an issue we've talked about all season. I thought things were finally looking up when the Heels had only 10 turnovers against Miami but on Saturday, they had 11 in the first half alone. The inconsistency cannot be there if the Heels are going to beat Duke on Wednesday. We've seen them handle the ball well, so we know they can do it. The second issue I'm worried about is free throw shooting. The Heels are going to need to get every single point they can salvage in the Duke game, and sinking only 3 of 11 from the line doesn't do that. UNC Duke is always a very physical matchup, so we're going to see a lot of trips to the line, and the Heels have got to be able to tack on those points when they have the chance. So yes, the big question, can Carolina beat Zion and company? In all honesty, I'm favoring the Blue Devils in this matchup. I don't think it's impossible, but everything, and I mean everything, has to go well for the Heels. Carolina has to make free throws, they have to hold on to the ball better, and they have to defend the Blue Devils hard. I think this game is going to be a lot about defense. The teams are actually a pretty good offensive matchup, but Duke is 42nd in scoring defense, and 244th. The arch rivals both want the win so badly, it's almost guaranteed to be a hard-fought game that's decided in the last few minutes. What are you guys' predictions for the game?
I'm going to have to agree with you, Mallory. I wish I could say I think the Heels are going to pull this one out, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to Duke. I think you've got a lot of freshmen playing in this game, so I do think it will be close up until the last few minutes, but Zion, I don't think we're going to be able to stop him down the stretch.
I agree. Zion is our problem. He scored 32 points in the last game they played. So, well, that's going to do it for this edition of Sports Extra.
Thanks for watching. Have a great night.